We've all spent hours scrolling through Netflix looking for something to watch, and sometimes it can feel like you're hacking your way through a dense, overgrown jungle with no end in sight. Who knew there were so many terrible action movies? But there are also lots of great movies, many of them produced by the streaming service themselves. This list will give you a map on how to navigate that jungle, how to weed out the weeds and find luminous original titles on the platform. This magnificent, jaw-dropping movie is proof that streaming services can make content just as good as Hollywood studios. With Alfonso Cuarón at the helm, audiences were swept away by a childhood reminiscence about his nanny in Mexico City. In every scene, you get the feeling that you are watching something truly special, something that cannot be described in words. No words, the 20 greatest instrumental tracks ever recorded. Get out those tissues, it's time for the most depressing movie on our list. When Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson get a divorce, you are hit with a barrage of emotional gut punches that never seem to let up. Artificial de-aging is usually not a good idea. Just look up plastic surgeries gone wrong, but Martin Scorsese mostly makes it work, thanks to his incredible storytelling. He's right at home in this story of mobsters, which feels like his send-off to a genre that he helped create. Father Figures, the 25 best TV dads of all time. A Western without shootouts, saloons, or heroes? Jane Campion made a Western unlike any other, following an abusive brother, a failing marriage, a twisted son and a lot of gay subtext. It's a journey worth saddling up for. One of the most fun movies of the decade is about two popes. Somehow, this religious film turns out to be a really great time. Thanks to Anthony Hopkins and Jonathan Pryce's performances, this dramedy is blessed with a warmth you don't often see in the genre. Iconic bands that changed styles after getting new members. Will Ferrell dresses up in wacky costumes and sings funny music. What more do you want from a comedy about singing contests? This is one of those gems that might not exist if it weren't for a studio like Netflix. Seriously, how many adult dramas do you see about everyday people going through realistic situations? When Paul Giamatti and Kathryn Hahn decide to have a child, there's an authenticity, emotion and warmth that is not common in today's cinema. The 20 worst coworkers in movie history. Remember when Adam Sandler went all serious in Uncut Gems? He did it again in Hustle, a story about an NBA scout who tries to find the next great hoops prospect. The tone is a lot more serious than Happy Gilmore, but Sandler is just as good when he needs to be dramatic. Meet one of the most tender, colorful characters on the streaming service, an octopus. The young cephalopod comes out of her shell to make friends with a human diver. It's a treat to spend time with her, to share her waters and watch her grow. Every 80s kid loved these 20 iconic TV shows. Another documentary from Netflix. This one follows a summer camp for people with disabilities, many of whom went on to become advocates for disability rights. It's a feel-good doc that made me cry multiple times, which is to say nothing of the humor that keeps things light. If you don't know what Rosebud is, don't even bother riding this sleigh down memory lane. There's no point in diving into the making of Citizen Kane if you haven't already seen it. Those who have will find lots to like in this artsy biopic from David Fincher. Do you know all 20 of these Fast Times at Ridgemont High facts? Klaus may not be the most well-known movie on Netflix, but those who discover it will feel like a kid on Christmas. A Santa Claus origin story, it's an animated adventure that people of all ages can enjoy. Oh, Charlie Kaufman, the man's brain must be like a washing machine filled with ideas instead of clothes, where weird thoughts bounce around until all that's left is a clean, jumbled mess. He's the man behind Being John Malkovich and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, as well as this Netflix original about a woman who's debating leaving her man. To say that things get bizarre would be an understatement. Our 25 favorite television couples. Jonathan Larson wasn't always known as the man who created Rent. At one point, he was an artist struggling to pay the rent, which is where Lin-Manuel Miranda's biopic picks up. Where it goes is a mix of musical numbers, artistic musings, magnificent set pieces and show-stopping moments for Andrew Garfield. The whodunit is alive more than ever, thanks in large part to this entertaining mystery, the sequel to the 2019 hit Knives Out, that sees a billionaire invite his friends to a private island for a game of Clue that turns into an actual murder mystery. The cast is insane, which is to say nothing of the way director Rian Johnson milks the scenery for escapism. He makes this a place you want to visit, even if you wouldn't hang out with these characters in real life. 20 international actors who absolutely mastered an American accent. I never thought I'd say this, but Adam Sandler might be just as good as Dustin Hoffman in a movie. Not that it's a contest, since Sandler and Hoffman are both fantastic in this drama about a family dealing with their father's legacy. But Sandler is right there with Hoffman, adding an indelible layer of emotion to this already emotional film. Speaking of emotional, this documentary is made almost entirely out of emotions. Following the cycle of incarceration in America, Ava DuVernay tracks the history of racism in our country dating back to slavery. It's not an easy watch, but that's kind of the point. 20 TV show deaths we still haven't gotten over. You've never seen a movie quite like Atlantic's. Even fans of African classics like Tuki Buki will have a hard time comparing this to anything else. It exists on a wavelength all its own, thanks to its mix of immigrant drama, ghost story, romance and surrealism. This tale of people disappearing in Africa is a genuine original. Not gonna lie, this movie is nowhere near groundbreaking. British dramas about World War II aren't exactly novel, even if they are centered on books. But it is well acted and directed, and its cozy vibe is worth a watch. How many of the 30 most expensive films ever made have you seen? Like an orange that reveals juicy secrets once it's peeled, Olivia Colman's character hides her tender insides with an outer shell. She lost her daughter decades ago and returns to the beach where it happened. It's not the smartest move in my opinion, but it does make for some fine drama. Netflix is trying to keep the rom-com alive with titles like Always Be My Maybe, to mixed results. They don't always work, but when they do, audiences get a reminder of why they fell in love with the genre. With the story of childhood sweethearts reuniting, this is one of their most watched efforts. The 20 most controversial movie characters of all time. Remember when everyone was talking about Bird Box? It feels so long ago. Anyway, here's a reminder that Bird Box is still on Netflix. Zack Snyder is one of the most talked about, polarizing directors thanks to his superhero movies, but honestly, his zombie movies are a lot better. Case in point, Army of the Dead. A fun genre flick about mercenaries hired to pull off a casino heist during the apocalypse, Dead combines different elements to create a blockbuster that has actual life. The 25 most iconic acting families in movie history. No, not the original. We're talking about the less effective, yet incredibly tense remake that was a surprise hit for Netflix. Winning multiple Oscars, this war movie was seen by millions of people, a rare foreign language worldwide hit. Netflix saved this movie when Sony decided not to release it due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and thank goodness they did. The Mitchells vs. the Machines is one of the funniest, smartest, most colorful, whimsical, playful, lyrical and emotional films of the past decade. The family road trip is fun on its own, with the robot takeover being an extra dose of hilarity. It's a truly great film. Did you enjoy this slideshow?